Hello and welcome to This Week in Review with Nigel Farage. Nigel, the big news this week is, of course, the poll, Labour looking at a landslide victory. Does the size of the victory really matter?
Yes, I think it does. I think if there's a relatively narrow Labour victory, or if they relied on Liberal Democrats, let's say, to make up the numbers, then that would fundamentally change the nature of a Labour government. Obviously, with the Liberal Democrats, we would see probably a referendum, is my guess, on whether we change from the first past the post electoral system to something a bit more representative, which I've always thought would be the right thing to do. That said, look, this rubbish that you read, oh, the Tories are still in with a fighting chance. They're not. They're absolutely not. There is no confidence. There is no faith. Sunak is just a spinner, but without very much substance. The 5 great pledges he made to the country, none of them I don't think are going to be achieved. Today, we're hearing horror stories today about waiting times after you've been diagnosed with cancer to treatment. People waiting 20 weeks and longer. NHS waiting list now heading towards 7.5 million. Not a single person gone to Rwanda. The borrowing figures for April, astonishing, 25 billion. Debt interest repayment running at 9 billion a month. Productivity still on the floor. Mass immigration of cheap, unskilled labour. The opposite of what Brexit was supposed to do. Houses wholly unaffordable. We're building about 180,000 houses a year. We need to build nearly 500,000 a year just to cope with immigration, let alone the backlogs. So, there is no chance that there's not going to be a Labour government. I suspect they will have a big majority. Now, economically, it's quite difficult to work them out in a way because...
Hold on, Nigel. Before we get to their policies, I want to ask you, because you've given us quite a good list there, and on each of those points, I was thinking, but Labour's not going to do better.
Well, this is the argument. So I had a long sit down with John Redwood this week, Sir John Redwood. I said, John, this is wrong. He said, yeah, absolutely. That's wrong. Yeah, absolutely. And this is terrible. Oh, I couldn't agree more. So, John, why should we vote Conservative? Oh, because Labour will be worse. Well, I'm really sorry, but I'm bored with that. I've been hearing all my life, vote for us because the other lot will be worse. Now, they might be worse, but they'll both be awful. Big state socialism under the Conservatives, or just a little bit more of it under Labour. And of course, Labour have announced, a series of policies that are very much to the left of where I thought they would be. I thought they'd actually be quite comfortable doing a Blair and saying we ain't going to change too much, but they're not, because they know the country's not particularly happy economically. So it appears that if you poll people and say, should we tax the rich to pieces? They say, yeah, let's do that. Without, of course, understanding the consequences. And hence the brain drain, which we've talked about before, which has already started, may well go into overdrive. So you actually create the opposite of what you intend. So it is a much more leftwards leaning Labour economic policy that is now taking shape, much more state control. And Rachel Reeves, of course, who is their Treasury spokesman, the Shadow Chancellor, now coming up with all sorts of ideas like a government growth fund, which she thinks insurance companies are voluntarily going to chuck 5% of their money into. If ever you didn't want to have a stock picker, it'd be a Labour government. The North Sea, there's been a big row over that because the GMB union is saying, whoa, hang on a second. You keep talking about green jobs. We're not seeing many of them. What about the people who some people think that in Scotland, up to 200,000 people, directly and indirectly, are employed by the North Sea oil and gas industry. It is big stuff. No future exploration. Oh, but it's okay. The wells can stay open to 2050 because we all know that's baloney, because wells run dry and fresh investment is needed constantly to keep an oil field going. It is. I think for anybody that believes in free markets, anyone that thinks that government borrowing is just massively out of control, frankly, the prospect of either of them isn't terribly good. But yes, Labour now looking, non-dom status will go. I can see top rate tax being back to 50, maybe even more. I think the attack on small company directors, dividends, etc., will continue. Yeah, pretty bleak.
You've mentioned two of the policies I was going to ask you about. The third one is not a policy necessarily. In fact, it's specifically not a policy, apparently. But there is an article from another poll, actually, suggesting that a huge amount of small business owners are considering selling out and trying to escape before the Labour government comes in. I'm sure this is exactly up your street, so I wanted to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, it's happening already. I mean, it's happening already under a Conservative government. People are jacking it in. They're moving. I mean, a lot of the smaller business types are going to Lisbon. Lisbon's become a real hub now for people, particularly small tech businesses. They don't need to be in London or Manchester more than 2 or 3 days a week. And frankly, no other bugger is anyway. I mean, I drive up from here in Kent on a Monday into London, but I don't see anybody. So they can manage all of that. And yes, there is a feeling amongst small businesses that nobody is on their side. And I think Labour will penalise them even more. So look, business closures, brain drain, wasted opportunity. And yet, despite all of that, UK service industry is doing remarkably well. Export figures are quite good. I mean, despite how awful government is, not everything collapses because people still need to eat. It's just the frustration that we've not maximised the opportunities of Brexit in any way at all. We've got Rishi Sunak, as I speak, out in Washington, D.C., not even talking about a trade deal with Biden. It's not even on the agenda for the meetings. So, and, let's not pretend things in Europe are any better because they're not. For me, it's just a frustration that we're going in this big state anti-entrepreneur direction.
You warned about this in a Fleet Street letter in December, actually. So my question to you now is, what sort of timeframes are we talking about here? Obviously, some of this is playing out in anticipation of a Labour government because of the poll advantage that they have. But what are the timings?
Well, a lot of talk that the Conservatives would go for a general election next May. That is for the birds. It ain't going to happen. Next October is the absolute favourite, but it could even run into December. Government's in trouble. Always run it to the wire in the sort of Mr. McCorber hope that something might turn up. So, yeah, I think next October is where my money would be. But I think we're heading towards a period where, unless Labour do something really stupid, we'll be staring down the tracks of the inevitability of a Labour government. And as I say, they're now starting to put before us some of their proposals. One or two, I don't think they'll do. 20% VAT on school fees, I don't think they'll do that. That's just sort of a bit of red meat to say to the left, shut up, let's present a united front. So there's a little bit of that going on. So maybe they won't be quite as bad as we think, but they certainly, if you believe in entrepreneurship, won't be good.
One of the things I'm always tempted to ask at this moment when, governments are on their way out is the poison chalice question. Is this a poison chalice that the Conservatives are passing on to Labour because of this, the interest on the government, debt's ballooning, we've got these immigration, all those issues that you listed at the beginning of this video, that they're, if you don't do anything about them, they're going to get worse and they're already very bad. So it seems to me that this is very much a good example of a poison chalice.
Yeah, there is no way between now and next October that we're not still going to be borrowing money. There is no way between now and next October we'll have turned around the productivity catastrophe. There is no way between now and October that there will not still be 4 and a bit million people unemployed, being paid, and not even having to look for work. I don't see any of that changing between now and then. So they're going to inherit a country that is unhappy, a country that for the first time since 1978 sees a brain drain, doctors going to Australia, etc. And it's going to be a damn difficult job for them. It's going to be a really damn difficult job.
And it doesn't seem they're very intent on inspiring anyone. It doesn't seem to me that they're very positive. Taking money in order to invest in a growth fund, it has a bad ring to it. It's all sort of doing more of the same bad things.
Yeah, really, fundamentally, their policies are not different to the Conservatives. The Conservatives have pushed the tax burden up to the highest level since 1951. When the Conservatives came to power, the accumulated national debt was about 700 billion. And that included the huge amounts we'd borrowed for the bank bailouts during the 08-09 period. Well, it's now 2.5 trillion. The share of GDP that is government expenditure was 39.5% before the pandemic. It went to 53%. It's now at about 47%. I mean, all these things have happened under Conservatives. There are no real fundamental differences, and that's the honest truth of it.
Well, I'm sure they're actually quite a bit more entertaining than the current lot, which is really saying something, but at least we've got something to look forward to. Nigel, thanks for joining us, and to everyone at home, thanks for watching.